MMA Junkie Radio is back in your life. Today's Wednesday, August 30th, 2017. I did that a little backwards because now I want to say you're listening to MMA Junkie Radio, but I already did that. I covered that.
Yeah.
So here we are. That's producer Danny in the background.
Hi.
His role in the pre-show is I say stuff, and then he backs me up with, go ahead, Danny.
Yeah.
And then I roll out more stuff, and then he'll back that up with
another yeah.
Yeah. So that's how this works. That's how this game works. Dan Tom is over here off to the left. You can't see him on camera, but he is here. He's been busting his ass. And today's the first day I didn't check Dan Tom's work. So what do you think, Danny? You think he's going to come through? Or are we going to have like Cynthia Camacho on the show or something?
I hope Dan Tom's like double checking and triple checking now.
Yeah, we'll see. On today's show, we will have Fernando Gonzalez. He got a win this past Friday at Bellator. A really clutch win, I think. And then we have Cynthia Calvillo in the second part of the show towards the end. But the first part of the show is wide open for you guys to call in, and hopefully you do. Because if you do, there's an opportunity for you to get put into our little tournament where you can win a signed Canelo Alvarez and Triple G glove, boxing glove. They both signed it. How cool is that? You can get that. You can qualify to be in that little tournament. What do I mean by qualify and all that? Well, there's, I believe, 27 spots. And you, depending on your call, we put you through. And you would be able to pick which slot you want. You know, what round. And depending on where the fight ends, you could possibly win the signed glove. Canelo Alvarez, Triple G on the same glove. You could see the glove in the camera over there off to the right. It's there. What's that, Danny?
I said I see it. It exists.
Yeah, you see it. Oh, you watched the stream? I didn't know you watched the stream.
I do.
Wow. So then you know.
I enjoy watching it. Yeah.
George has it in his hands right now. And there it is for everyone to see. That's your motivation, people. Call in today. Have a good call. Qualify for this little mini tournament. Oh, they're going to put the Redskins on right now? On the big screen? How am I supposed to concentrate? Might have to have Dan Tom fill in for me today. Dan Tom.
It'll be Dan and GG.
Yeah. Good call, Danny.
All right, guys. Coming up in 10. Stand by.
Seconds.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yes!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Wednesday, August 30th, live from Sin City. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show, and I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our co-host, Danny Otto, producing back east, Dan Tom hovering in and out. You'll see him at some point today. He's the newest addition. What's up, guys?
I want to come up with a new entrance. I tried this today. I tried to do the whirl, and then boom, the point to you.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to come up with one that I just do every day. But the reason I did it is because it reminded me of last night I was at the Contender Series, Dana White Contender Series, and I was talking to Richard Hunter. And he had told me, the what if game? He likes to play the what if game.
Right.
He played it with Demetrius Johnson. And he had asked him if every fight for the rest of his career he got a win bonus. Or, sorry, a bonus.
A bonus? Just,
but, fight
regardless?
on the night or your performance on the night.
Okay.
If, but he had to, every time meet a new person, he would have to go through his whole dance thing, that whole thing. If he would do it. And Mighty Mouse said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And me and Richard were thinking, that's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of money.
What are you talking about when he does the 3 capoeira spins as well?
No,
or
he doesn't
just
have to do the spins. Just that little
when he's
thing
introduced?
when he's going like that. And,
but it's every time he meets somebody new.
So
if he came in here, he's met us before.
He'd be good.
Right. We'd have to go, I'd like you to meet Dan. I don't know if Dan's met him
and
personally.
Then he'd have to do it.
Right. But then how much effort is that?
Yeah, but that's one guy. Like right now, right? I'm sure somebody will stop him on the way, a couple. It's going to get old. That bonus money's going to, once it runs out, that's going to mess up
for the rest of his life, you said, or
I don't
career?
know. I think it's for the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the only place he's going to feel safe is like at a family reunion or
all right, now I
reunion.
know we're not supposed to overthink these, right? But let's just say he agreed. I don't know if a line is dotted. I don't know if this billionaire follows you around or how it works. But let's just say he does it, and he fights 3 more times. He knows he's got that bonus, 50 G's to give out now, right? So that's let's say 3 more fights, 5 more fights. I don't know, 150, 250. Let's just say will take care of his kids going to private schools and private colleges.
Mm-hmm.
He may think of it as, if I don't do that, how will I react when I get that bill and have to write it out every month?
But how long will it take him to get those
And here's
fights?
the other thing. Let's just say if it was his life, and at some point he just goes, hello, nice to meet you. Like, someone take that money away. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
somebody will take that money away.
Oh, really?
He's got to do it every single time. But how long do you feel like, how many fights do you think he has left?
Boy,
no bullshit. I really think he has 10 left.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he's got a lot. But let's just say, let's put a time slot on it. Let's say 5 years.
Yeah, 5. Well, I'll just say 5 fights. He seems to have dialed down to being a 2-year-a-fight guy.
Mhm.
2 fights a year guy. Yeah.
So you're that to maybe give him 3 years? Will that
Sure.
work? So for the next 3 years, he's got to do that. Which means for the next 3 years, that fool can't go to Disneyland or anything like that. Like, can you imagine how many times he'd have to do that over and over and over? He's got to be like, look, it's old, dude. I don't think Demetrius Johnson thought this out. That's a lot, man. Just walk
it is,
into a
considering
casino,
now he's got Twitch and whatever other sponsors.
the airport, walking through the airport.
Perhaps. Or how about if he just turns into,
gotta do it.
what if he just turns into Harrison Ford, puts on glasses, a hat, and just isn't friendly?
Maybe. He's pretty recognizable. Oh, you're just saying just give everybody the cold shoulder?
Right.
Be a dick for 3 years?
Yeah. Be Holly Holm.
Damn, I don't know. That'd be rough.
It would, but, that could be the counter as well when
So
it just
anyways,
gets old.
I think I'm going to go with this. That's going to be my move.
Sounds good. Hump Day. Happy Hump Day to everybody. Hope you're all well. We have 2 guests coming your way, Cynthia Calvillo and Fernando Gonzalez. A couple of Hispanics causing panic. Gonzalez is coming off a big win over Brennan Ward at Bellator 182. Took place this past Friday back east. We saw it with Danny Brenner from Bellator and a few of the other media. He was nice enough to just say, hey, come on out to Big Top Golf. Have a beer on me. And a lot of people showed up. It was pretty cool. Matt Mitrione showed up as well. So did Josh Thompson. So we hung out. I honestly...
Jamie Foxx is next to us?
He was, yeah. I didn't have anything. I didn't have beer or anything. But I had fun just being there. It looked like there was like PBR in that bucket, and
there was Heineken, Bud Light.
Oh, was there?
PBR,
oh, I didn't think it through then. Okay,
there was a little bit of everything.
I had started with that earlier, and I think when my taste buds change too much with the beer, it's like pointless. And then you also make these decisions of an early buzz that starts to wear off, and you're safe to drive home. Versus here we go again, starting it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was cool just kind of hanging out, meeting a few of the new media, and I apologize. Maybe there's some that have followed for 5 years or so, but I guess new to me, that where I just met them, and their names becoming more recognizable via social media or finally meeting them or seeing them somewhere. So that was really, really cool. Some terrible golfers for sure as members of the MMA media, and then a couple were hacking away pretty nicely. So.
I can't talk shit because I don't even go up to bat, so how can I make fun of anyone? But I would be one of those. I'm not very good at that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had our aunt yell at me one time for being really bad at it. Our Aunt Sonia.
Really?
She
You went to the
tore
golf
me
course?
up. Oh, yeah.
In Arequipa?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
I was all hungover from the night before. I had promised to go, and I was hitting dirt, and it was bad, man.
Yeah. You know, yesterday at the Contender Series, apparently Uriah Faber either let the cat out of the bag, or maybe the bag was going to be opened anyway, and the cat was going to, pounce out. But 6.5 million pay-per-views via Dana White is the rumor for Mayweather versus McGregor. My buddies asked me about that, and I said, listen, when the number's good, the promoter's very quick to put it out himself, or at least co-sign or nod in approval to when Dave Meltzer does it, or Kevin Iole, or another reputable source. When it's not as good, it takes a while to trickle out, and then you may not even hear anything. Or you may hear, wow, the numbers are still coming in. We got, numbers coming in from New Zealand and Australia, and you can just tell, well, it was probably less than what they wanted, but hopefully we'll all forget about it. But 6.5, compared to how big this event was on Saturday, from the people I talked to on a casual basis, from what I saw on social media, newspaper, internet, this, that, whatever, I firmly believe it.
I wish I would have paid more attention to what was going on outside of the bubble of Las Vegas. Because in Las Vegas, yeah, obviously there's a huge buzz. Everybody was talking about it. But what I didn't pay attention to was a little bit of the social media, what was going on back home. Normally I get a call from like my dad asking about the fight. I didn't really get that. So I couldn't really gauge what the ambiance was outside of Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. But it seemed like it was lacking a little bit. I didn't get as many calls from friends. Hey, what do you think of this fight? Should I order it? That sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Did you?
Yeah. Not calls, but at least, seeing them post somewhere or the text. Yeah, I mean, a couple calls. But, yeah, I mean, I kind of had an idea what all of my close friends were doing. And the casual friends I have as well.
Were they
all watching? It didn't seem like anybody was not watching.
Yeah?
Yeah. Even here in the casino, the sports book, you could just tell that someone was headed somewhere, whether it was to a closed circuit, the actual fight itself, a fight party, but it didn't look like, too many people were wandering around with it without at least knowing that something big was taking place and that they wanted to be a part of it.
What I thought was crazy were there were people in the sports book watching it on their phone. And there's no way that was their plan. They didn't say, you know what, why don't we all go to the sports book and I'll pull it up on. Nobody said that.
So I wonder if that was one of the 3 million illegal streams, 10 million worldwide, or maybe just someone said, fuck it.
I think they just ordered it.
That's what I'm thinking. Hey, you got 20, you give me 20, and then someone gets it on their phone. Because Goes is right. We were watching it here in the studio, and then we have a few of our friends from London. They were here as well. Shamakar was here with his buddy Eduardo, and that was it, right? Was there one other? That was it. Yeah. So 6, 7 of us, and we're watching it clearly. A couple people watched us watch the fight, but nobody really troubled themselves to come over and ask or, be nosy or anything like that. But instead, I guess, like Go said, at some point we looked around and there was like groups of 10 huddled around someone holding a phone, perhaps an iPad, I don't know, out in the sports book, reacting the same way we were.
Yeah. I've never seen
that. I think that's people getting caught up in the last minute moment.
I think so too. I don't think anybody would try and get an illegal stream on Wi-Fi out here. I don't think nobody would go through that.
I tried to do some number crunching, Goes. That's $650 million. The good thing is it's pretty easy math. Let's just call it 100 instead of 99. I know there's standard edition at 89, but who really gets that? And what I don't know is if this counts for, like in London, I heard it was £29.99, which is probably about $50. So I'm not going to go down the road of trying to figure out if other parts of the world got a break. I'm just going to do 6.5 million versus times 100, which would be 650 million. Then I'm going to give them the benefit that, the satellite and cable providers. Mm-hmm. We've often heard it's a 50-50 split, but with the companies that do it quite often, like the UFC, perhaps it's closer to 60-40 or
think
maybe
'cause
even
they
65-35. Right. Yeah, they're all making money for years. They're in it for the long road, and then obviously the UFC having their third-party platform, it probably makes up for it. So, if anything, the UFC doing their own thing where they don't have to split it, or at least their overhead wasn't much, that may offset some of these 29.99 pounds or other parts of the world that where it was less. So, 650 mil, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say it was a 70-30 split in favor of the boxing people. All right.
I think that's fair.
So that would be 195 million for cable and satellite. What do we call them? The pay-per-view distributors. And on the other end, we're left with 455 million for, we'll just call it boxing. Now, the 195 is said and done. Boom, you're out of the way. How did the 455 get split? Because Conor got 30 to show, Floyd got 100 to show. The rumor has it, and I've heard it from many credible sources, that the UFC piece of the pie was 50.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to subtract 50 from the 455, and we're left with 405. All right, so the UFC got 50. Now, of the 405, I don't think it just goes to Conor and Floyd. Obviously, there's all of the marketing and advertising and private jets and the staffing that it took to do something. Plus, Leonard Ellerby, and I'm sure, even though he's Floyd's private manager or whatever you want to call it, I think they each have kind of a role, like in this campaign, this 2-month campaign or 2.5-month campaign that it was. I know Kelly Swanson again is the PR. So everything, what's that bill? I don't know.
I wouldn't even know where to start.
So the easy way is, let's just knock off 105 million. You want to do that?
I think more.
No.
Private jets and shit like that, man.
Well, but they didn't buy them. They just rent them. Well, Floyd, I think, has his own, but
the staff that it takes in 4 different venues on that press tour, I don't know. It just seems like that number would be more, but all right.
Yeah, just go with this one, dude. 105 mil for, we'll say, overhead. Could it be that these guys then had to split 300 mil? And if so, how would it go? I'm just going to apply what I saw on paper. If 130 million got split with Floyd getting 100 and Conor getting 30, then is the ratio about Floyd getting 3 times as much, just a little bit over 3 times as much?
I think that's safe, but I heard from somebody that Conor gets capped at a certain point. You can't just keep chopping away at that.
All right. Now, people said 100 million. I saw some dumb number floating around with 106 million, but I also heard 75. So let's just say this 300 mil gets split up into 4. That's 75 million times 4 is 300 million. And you give Conor 75 to his 30 that he already made, that's 105. And you give the other 225 to Floyd plus his 100 million that he got for showing up, and that's 325. Kind of on par with what we heard, that Floyd may go over 300 million, was making 300 million or rounding off to 300 million, and Conor saying this has the capability of quadrupling my net worth, and that is rumored to be about 25 million. So that could be kind of what happened here. Floyd took home 325 million because that was kind of on the number of 5 million. If we sell 5 million or Pacquiao numbers, which was 4.4, 4.5, 4.6, I forget, somewhere there, and they actually went 2 million overboard. Over that, excuse me. So it could be that this 105 and 325 makes sense. The UFC, a very generous 105 overhead. I could be way off. Maybe it's only 55, and there's still another 50 million here to split up between the guys. Because again, this is 2 million past the Pacquiao Mayweather numbers. So that was me just having fun today, trying to figure out how it went, and I thought this was fairly accurate, but who the fuck knows?
Let's beat dicks at this point. Take taxes out of that too. Let's just find out what that number is. That number that
Well,
gets deposited in the bank account.
And this is without Hublot,
Sponsorships.
right? These sponsorships and anything else.
There you go. Attack that on.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what Hublot would give.
Yeah, we can come up with something.
Well, they gave him a $1.2 million watch, so maybe they'd give him $5 million. Wear these trunks for $5 million. I don't know. Let's stick to this though.
Okay, all right.
Let's stick to this because we really don't know who else did anything behind the scenes. Did someone sponsor the camp? Did someone, I don't know. Taxes, $105 million. I would say the rich people like to say they take half my taxes, but I think that's high. I'm sure they have capable accountants that could at least cut it off to the cap number is like 39 for real, like IRS. So let's round up to 40. But from there, you obviously have your expenses that you can deduct. So not to get all complicated, because I don't want to go down that road, and I think I'll lose
not
people.
Numbers junkie.
But I would say a third. A third of 105 would be. Anybody want to help me out?
Right now, you think
36?
Luna's listening?
36 million?
Sure.
36 times 72 and another 36 is 108. Yeah, it sounds about right. 35. It's actually 35. 35 mil to the IRS. And for Floyd, 325. Oh, fuck it. We have these damn machines. Why am I trying to be some...
You know why? Because Muna exists. And if you don't crunch numbers correctly in front of Muna from San Francisco, he will write you a scathing email or a text message. But here's what the thing about the scathing email from Muna. It starts off really politely.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys,
I beg to differ.
I just want to alert you to what's been going on.
97.5.
Boom, he comes in and he tells
I'm
you
just
how
going to round
stupid you
up
are.
to 100 mil. He probably took home 225 mil. Connor probably took home about 70 mil.
What do you do with that money, man? What do you do?
Floyd owes 22 or 23 to the IRS. So let's say the first thing he does is say, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's $200 clean dollars. Taxes paid on the big one. The old ones are taken care of, and that's just his. And Connor has 70 plus his net worth of already 25. He probably now is 1/10 of a billionaire. Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Now again, there's that whole, when they were trying to spice up the fight, they're like, well, there's the digital side, and there's these television contracts, and this and that. Well, I hope they remember that when MMA fighters come through and go, well, I'd like to talk about my fight and my pay-per-views and digital buys and these other television contracts that are out there. You know what I mean? That's the side I wish sometimes Dana would realize when he goes, the fucking media, they got a lot of nerve. They said this. And I'm thinking, bitch, you know how much fun it's covering you when half my day is occupied with, can you believe Dana said this? You know what I mean? It goes both ways.
But reality doesn't work anymore for those
guys. So just kind of hang tight, and
you would be the same way.
Live with where you're at. Yeah, there's those disappointments. Oh, fuck, Jones did it again. You mean to tell me, Brock, we can't use him again? That damn Ronda lost, and now we lost her. Anderson Silva and the dick pills, GSP and Martians. But again, your business just sold for $4.2 billion about a year ago. They pay you generously now with bonuses. 2017 is a little bit slow, but this was a nice event for you. And a couple stars might come towards the end of the year. The return of GSP. It would have been nice to maybe have another Bones fight. They were talking Stipe. McGregor could maybe squeeze one in 2017, if not 2018. So it's still going to be pretty pleasant to be that gentleman.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But think about on a daily basis, how many emails or texts or tweets, you kind of fight off a couple, right? You're throwing a few through right hands, a few jabs here and there. That dude's fighting them off left and right. He's clean in the Warriors. Like, he's getting from every angle. Mm-hmm. So I can understand why his reality is a little different. But you're right. Every once in a while he needs to get checked, and I think when he gets checked, he should either smile back and go, "You got me," or something. Acknowledge it.
Years ago, I forgot what I was going to say. Years ago, Dana White. Years ago, I forgot. I literally forgot. Let's continue. Our guests are in the second hour, 11:20 and 11:40. Yeah, that's what we have. So the guests are coming up still, about an hour away. We have time to take your call. 866-522-2846. Like Go said in the pre-show, we have this glove sitting to my right, signed by Canelo Alvarez and Triple G, courtesy of the people at HBO. So it's going to be given away to somebody in Junkie Nation. Yesterday we decided to choose two of our callers that made their mark, I guess, or just had a good call. There you go. I don't know why I'm overthinking it. And amongst all of us, we chose Tony as the number one call from San Francisco. And so Tony gets to call back today and actually choose the fighter and the round.
Okay.
The second spot went to Dan from Oregon, except Dan's is going to be part of a pool where we'll choose whatever, that'll say name and round, and we'll actually give you a spot. I think that's the way we're going to do it for the next week or so until we leave for Virginia. We'll also look at the social media and just see if there's anything there where someone talks about wanting this glove, maybe a clever picture or a video or something, and we'll throw you in the mix as well. We have 27 spots to fill, but that's the result from yesterday. Now, you're invited to call in 866-522-2846 as we start to wind down now from Mayweather-McGregor numbers. And just when you really think, oh, boy, we are putting this to bed, these pay-per-view numbers come out, and, of course, it just gives us yet another talking point. I think now Paulie Malignaggi, who was on our show a couple weeks leading into the fight, showed very little interest. Do you remember, Goes? We had to kind of nudge him.
Yeah.
And, put him on the spot, re-ask the question, reword the question. Would you ever be interested? And now he's pretty blatantly saying, I'd love to box Conor McGregor. He's using the same date he gave us. And at the same time, he's been quoting people on Twitter, hey, get your facts straight. The odds makers have already made me the favorite should we ever box. And, of course, he's saying winner take all, which is a headline, but it's not realistic. So news stories are developing with this. People are asking me who's next for Conor McGregor if and when he comes back. The one question I really get a lot, and I don't know how to answer it because I really don't know the answer, is why would Conor come back after making $105 million or 100 or 75, whatever they heard? They always ask me, why would he come to MMA when he makes 2 or 3? So, of course, here's the part that sucks. I have to tell him that's just what's reported, 2 or 3 million with his bonuses. He takes probably 10 mil home on his fights. Now going forward, I could see him being at least a $20 million fighter.
See, I can't see that.
The question still would remain, why would he go from 105 to 20? So even if, okay, let's just say you think I'm being generous, why would he go from 100 to 20? Why would he take 1/5 less? And I don't know how to answer it other than from getting to know this kid through Cage Warriors, in our studio, a couple phone interviews, and then just reading a lot about him. It just looks like he enjoys combat. He says he comes from a lineage of warriors, Celtic warriors, Irish warriors, whatever. And he says it's in his blood. He loves to compete. And if you hear him talk, it really does, in his mind, it's as easy as what he's shown as of late, where he just goes in there and starches somebody, sans the first Diaz fight. And so he really feels like no one else belongs there. Plus, I think he wants to chase history. Plus, what else is he going to do? I mean, sure, he could retire on that, but really, what else could he do? I guess do the whole suit thing, but that goes in hand with being a badass motherfucker. You know what I mean? All right, so if you just start wearing suits, and yeah, you were the great fighter. I mean, at 29, that guy's just going to be like, he's going to have an itch that he's got to scratch. Like, what the fuck? I got to do something. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess, yeah, all right. The next business proposal, oh, what? We're putting out a cologne? All right, great. Now we got auto dealerships? All right, great. All right, cool. An airline company wants, I mean, that's not him. He is a businessman. I think he has his sharks to do that. Him is fighting. He's only 29. He hasn't taken that much damage. And I think, again, he's got this huge confidence where he wants to go in there and jack somebody up. And so that's why I think he's going to come back and fight. and he'll look at it. He won't look at it as this is 1/5 less. He'll say this is double what I made last time, and maybe next time I can make triple, and maybe next time I can make MMA what I did in boxing, you know, or pave the way for others. I don't know, but I think he's just got these motivations to do other things, possibly be a co-owner. I don't know. So I think that's what wags his tail. Well, now let's take a break, and then I'll get your thoughts as far as if you think he's coming back, and you know why you would take the money. It sounds like you want to chime in. We got to take this commercial. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
off.
Yeah. Ivan Jackanoff.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tax. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
The final week of the NFL preseason is on SiriusXM. Make sure to keep your radio locked on SiriusXM NFL Radio for expert analysis on the latest position battles and transactions around the league. The only place to hear 24/7 coverage of the National Football League is on Sirius NFL Radio, Channel 88, and on your phone with the SiriusXM app. Have you ever heard that some of the NFL voices, whether it's highlights or...
Yeah.
Boy, there's some guys. I think there's a guy that his name was John Facenda back in the day. And I can't remember if I hear him on... or if one of those voices I hear is on Sirius or what it is, the NFL channel. But they have, like, deep voices.
It's a different generation, I think.
Yeah. I mean deep voices when they do some of their, National Football League promos. The final league of the NFL preseason.
I miss that, though, especially in baseball. The newer generation, people who call baseball games, they call it differently. It's not the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's there's a certain tone. Even when you go back to Pat Summerall, right? Like some of those voices are just iconic, and they don't feel like the new generation.
How about Keith Jackson on college football?
Yeah.
Whoa, Nelly!
I wonder what the new generation thinks when they hear that.
What were those guys thinking, maybe?
You think so?
I don't know. You asked, so I'm just wondering. I'm guessing.
I don't know. I'm going to miss it, though. Like, nothing against Joe Bach or nothing, but it just doesn't carry the same weight. I will give it to Gus Johnson.
I'm getting used to them a little bit more.
Amazing in college basketball.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. He's good at college basketball. I grew up pretty vanilla, though. I grew up with, like, Bob Costas's and, Bill Walton's and stuff like that, watching NBA in the 90s. So,
like, Chris Collinsworth doesn't have a deep voice, but I'm used to it now.
I'm okay with it.
And he is one of the top guys out there. So it comes with a lot of respect. Even Phil Simms, same thing. You're right, Goes. I think back in the day that was just maybe like this older feel, this like these profound, deep, booming, bass-laden voices.
Mm-hmm.
And now I kind of like MMA fighters, just people are getting younger, and then there's also the female presence on the sideline in the last 20 years. Was the first one the black lady? What was her name?
Pam Oliver?
Yeah, was she one of the first? Or the first?
One of the first, yeah. But no, I don't think she was the first. But
everybody credits Erin Andrews, but Pam Oliver was doing it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's back in the day, you didn't rely like right now you can go to clips, you can bring in Mike Prey, you could do a lot of different stuff, right? Sound bites, drops. Back in the day, it was just on that play-by-play guy to describe everything that was going on.
Yeah.
And I think now there's so much assistance, outside assistance, that it's just not.
You're right. It was a two-man team, and now they go to the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have the hosts. Sometimes they're on the field, and the referees. So it does get thrown around. Old school's not a bad thing.
I'm going to give my 2 cents real quick on what we were talking about before we left, and then we got to get to these calls. There's a lot of them. We will get to all of you. Here's all. I like what you said about Conor loves to fight. It's in him. But that all changes the more and more you get money. Money opens up more things to do. Now you can take vacations. Now you can build houses. You can do all kinds of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And those type of things are very tough to do and still maintain focus as a fighter. So I think in this next year, we're really going to find out what money has done to Conor McGregor and how much it's changed him. So I can see him coming back for one more MMA fight.
Really?
But really, I don't think he'll go much further than that.
And just sail off into the sunset?
Yeah, because you look at kids like
what would he do?
Hungry kids like Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee.
He's older.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Tony Ferguson's older than.
But still, they're hungry, right?
I know.
That's all they talk about is fighting, right? Well, what does Conor talk about? He does talk about fighting, but what else does he talk about? Suits, cars, all this shit, right?
I think that comes along with like he's not really an ex. He doesn't really like to sit down and talk the X's and O's much. I guess you have to have one of those like 60 minutes, sit across from and really dive into stuff.
But he was Rocky Balboa, and now he's Apollo Creed. And he's looking at Clubber Lang. There's a lot of Clubber Langs out there that want their shot. So I think he's going to see that and go, fuck, I don't know if I want to deal with that shit. I've made my money. I've made my mark. So I would say maybe one more MMA, and then maybe I could see him giving a stab at boxing a little bit. But that's just my take. Anyways.
All right, phone calls. Marco from Waco to start things off. What's up, Marco?
¿Qué pasa, Atos?
¿Qué pasa?
Marco is up. Hey, let's talk numbers, man. First of all, you're talking $650 million in revenues, man. I wonder if it's going to break $1 billion because you got the $80 million on the gate, plus concessions, plus the freaking sponsors and stuff. There's a lot of money at the table up there. And then you got these 10 million illegal downloads. That is $1 billion in lost revenue, dude. $1 billion in lost revenue for every single one of those people that, they're never going to get caught.
I know. I wonder if you can ever if there's ever a plan to stop that.
I don't think
there can be. And that was, think about how popular pirating was even before Periscope, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, and Ustream, Hang With, everything else that just came along, FaceTime. It's that one's gonna be a tough cookie there. I don't know if it's possible. Joe Rogan once said about 10 years ago, you can't stop the internet, and I thought, someone will come up with something. Whoever came up with the internet, someone twice as smart will figure out a way to stop certain. But fucking election got hacked. 10 million downloads.
It's all about the penalty, right?
Yeah.
If the penalty's really high, then you just don't do it. I think what happens is people get caught, and then they switch sides. Now they're the guys that are trying to catch the other guys.
Perhaps, right?
Yeah. Can you penalize 10 million people, though? That's a thing, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing is on Conor fighting again. The one thing this kid likes is his money and also his legacy. I think it's going to be like a special event. It's going to be like Mayweather. It's going to fight twice a year, like probably July and December from now on. And he's going to be able to pick his fights. It's not going to be like, I'm just going to fight Tony Ferguson or Khabib. He's going to be able to pick and choose, And I always come back to this story. When he met with Ronaldo last year, the famous picture with him and Ronaldo?
Yep.
He was telling Ronaldo how much he made for last year. And Ronaldo said, yeah, but I got a private jet. And I know that hurt McGregor. He's driven by, now I got my own private jet, bitch. Now I am the force, best athletes with more money, He's going to be the one that wants to say, I was able to make $100 million on one fight on the UFC. I think that is going to send that drive this kid. So that is what I think. He's not going anywhere, but it's going to be a special event. So maybe one or twice a year we'll see him for here until the next 4 or 5 years. Peace out.
Yep. I agree. There's things Conor said where I remember raising an eyebrow. My bad. Dan Tom joining us now in front of the camera. There are things that Conor McGregor said like literally about a year, 18 months, where I react later on. But yet a year, 18 months ago, I thought, what a lunatic.
What a banana.
I remember he said he's going to negotiate the first $100 million contract. And... well, 5 fights, 20 mil. He could do that. I remember when he said, I want a piece of the pie. Well, even Dana acknowledged that they might have to sit down and have that conversation. So whether if Marco's quoting him or maybe he wants to become a $100 million fighter in the UFC, at this point it's really hard to doubt him. How? I don't know. But if 6.5 million tuned in to watch him box Mayweather, and Mayweather's last fight was, there's going to be a lot of people that go, well, that's Mayweather. Mayweather helped carry him. It's true. Mayweather and Pacquiao was 4.6. But Mayweather-Canelo was half of that, 2.3. And then after Mayweather's last fight was 500,000. So McGregor's definitely brought something to this dance, and so how much can Conor carry that over into a pay-per-view for a UFC fight, especially if you have Conor and then another great solid fight below that? Some of that carryover, might help the UFC tremendously.
100%. I actually kind of with Marco here because I don't see Conor going like a Nick Diaz route. I don't see him having those intangibles where he can just, want to just really march to the beat of his own drum. And Conor does march to the beat of his own drum, but in the way that Nick Diaz does. And he is a businessman, like you guys are saying. But with the options that he's kind of laid out for himself, that's the argument with Conor. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, oh, he did it. That's why he's getting it. Yeah, but he called it before he did it. I think that's a little bit over now. Instead of, if it's a volleyball analogy, instead of, he came onto the UFC just spiking the ball, right? Aldo, spike, right? Mendez, spike. But now he's setting the ball. He's smart now. He's setting the ball up in the air. Like kind of like Marco's saying, he's gonna keep that ball in the air just long enough so he can, get his business going, whether it's the business he generates from inside the cage or the ring or outside with the whiskey that he just launched and these things, and talking about being partners and getting in the UFC's pocket and taking a percent from the boss himself. So I think he's going to be looking to set the volleyball here, guys, instead of spike it from here on out.
I don't know. I'm still curious to see how many pay-per-views can come. Gabe, my buddy, asked me, he goes, so what happens next? Does he revert back to MMA? What does he get paid? I go, maybe 20, just to show. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't know what the scale will be because we don't know what the UFC thinks they can sell, because they'll obviously have no problem sharing it with Conor McGregor. But I was thinking, does he even need Nate Diaz right now?
Yes.
Is it just Conor?
I think he needs him.
You know what I mean? So can the UFC go, all right, Nate, we paid you 2 last time. We'll give you 5. And if Nate goes, no, I want 10, can they go, well, then we'll just have him fight the winner of Ferguson and Lee, because Conor sells. Conor and you sells a lot, but Conor and others can sell too, and so we're not just going to, throw off the pay scale here just because of you, because you see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, but how much negotiating power does each guy have?
I'm the UFC right now, and if I'm going to play hardball, now I'm going to have one big fight. And there's a possibility Conor McGregor could lose that fight against one of those guys. But he's already proven that he could beat Nate Diaz. So why not get 2 fights out of him? That's the way I would look at it. So I probably wouldn't bend on $10 million, but you do need Nate to a certain extent because you want to make that fight and another fight.
So I'm kind of curious here. Like, you guys are talking about, the boxing and the MMA, and that provides enough, options. Even within MMA, it's kind of providing enough options. We're talking about Nate over the title that's being fought for that just got announced, right, guys? I mean,
and they're sticking to it.
Yeah,
tickets are on sale, and that's the main event for UFC 216. Lee Ferguson interim.
100%. And now, not to kind of even take the conversation on a new level, but it doesn't take long to talk about Ronda Rousey or John Jones before someone says, what about the WWE option? To be honest, I see that WWE or these kind of entertainment options more out there for McGregor, especially. Now, the question is, if he starts to work with the UFC, is the UFC going to put him on the hybrid of a fishing reel and a toddler leash, where they throw Conor out there and they reel him back and see how many new fans they can bring back with them each time? And then, okay, we'll try this market. Let's cast him out in the WWE.
What's he going to do there, though? He's 5'9", 170.
Well,
maybe we can...
I think he'll be there
fill
eventually,
him up a little bit, but does that even
bit.
NXT or whatever those lower weight classes are?
It's the one-off. It's the WrestleMania. It's the spot that Floyd had against the Big Show. What Ronda had, that sort of thing. Look at Floyd Mayweather's career, George. I think his is very similar.
Conor gets feeds off of punching someone, though. Goes, that's more like acting. I've heard maybe, but
that's why just the one-off.
Okay, the WWE, they really going to pay more than the UFC?
Well, for just a couple hours work, though. He doesn't have to go through a training camp.
Maybe, yeah.
Back to the volleyball analogy, though. When he's setting that ball in the air, he has to kill some time before that ball comes back down. Now, while that ball's in the air, maybe there's contenders like Ferguson or Lee that maybe he's like, I don't know if I want to fight him for that much. Then you do the one-off, like Goz is saying.
Pick each
You're
other
just killing
off.
time. It's just a business thing, like Brock doing the opposite, doing what Brock does, but vice versa, where Brock says, ooh, contract time? Thinking about MMA, guys. Tweet. You know what I'm saying? Conor could do the same thing, except... put himself in a one-off where it's less dangerous, whereas Brock actually has to do his one-off in a combat, whereas Conor, okay, what skid are we writing, guys? Cool, I'll use this to negotiate. Oh, you're going to pay me for it as well? Sure, I'll take that. It'll take up time while I don't have to fight this contender. Why not? 3 birds with 1 stone. That's the way I do it. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, guys.
I'm going to bring back a long shot. I still think there's a card to play with Bisping. If Bisping beats GSP, where Conor could say, I'm not even interested in the welterweight division, and then he can say whatever he wants about who's champion at the time. Because we all know Woodley's a very fucking difficult matchup for him. But he can say whatever he wants at the time. Bisping is more of an undersized middleweight, but there's that England-Ireland thing. You know what I mean? And they both chirp.
Wembley?
Right, something like that. You know what I mean?
It is a long shot, George, but it's something that...
Don't call me crazy that on August 30th of 2017, GG reiterated what he brought up sometime during 2017 or 16. I can't remember. I know I brought it up one other time. All right, let's talk to DJ Tony from San Francisco. What's up, Tony?
Hey, yo, gentlemen, as the great Steve Sable once said, and you know I like to tie things in, the autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. Never mind. All right, guys. Hey, in terms of the Top 26 finale or the season that's about to come in with all these women now in the flyweight division, don't you think there's going to be someone that's going to come out of it that's not in the season at all that becomes a champion and takes over?
I do.
Just like
There's a lot of great fighters that weren't in the 15 class that are right at the top. So, yeah, I definitely believe that's going to happen. And I'm not too impressed by those names that I saw in the house. Not because I know there's other killers out there somewhere, but I also know that some 35ers will drop, some 15ers will go up, and they just didn't want to bother with 6 weeks in the house. They felt like, oh, we'll just join the season when there's there. Sure, there's something to being the first ever champion of a division in the UFC, but I really don't think that's like the most important thing ever. I mean, look at Carla was the first ever champ, but Joanne is the greatest. So, yes, Tony, I agree with you.
I tell you, though, there will be a star that's going to come out with Rachel Ostovich. The problem will be, and you can cue Careless Whisper here, the problem will be is how long will she continue to stay in the UFC if she doesn't put on those wins. In terms of the Canelo Triple G fight, guys, now, am I picking a round and I'm picking?
Yeah, you can pick the winner and the round because you were the number one caller for yesterday, so we're giving you that privilege, whereas Dan will get his picked out of a pool when we do the last day before we leave.
All right. I think it's going to be, guys, being a boxing fan, I think it's going to go all 12. Even though the numbers say that Canelo has a chance going in the 8th or 9th, I just think Triple G is too smart. Canelo does have good G, but gets hit. I think Triple G will take the decision. It may be actually split, but he's taking a decision.
All right, so Tony officially has Triple G decision. We'll fill that in.
I believe Tony just won the glove.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, Triple G's finished 33 out of 37 fights. Granted, not all of them have been to the level of Canelo and Alvarez, but at least he does go in there with a high finishing rate. So I politely disagree, but that is a good decision on Tony's part. Thanks for the call, man. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll take some more calls, see if we can fill in more spots for our Triple G Canelo boxing glove giveaway contest, courtesy of HBL, hooking that up. And, of course, MMA Junkie Radio. We got your back. We'll be right back.
King Kong has a lot of shit on them. Like a lot, especially Goes. Here, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Tomorrow, join SiriusXM Sports for National Football Day. We're celebrating the return of America's favorite sport from NFL Radio and Mad Dog Sports Radio to College Sports Nation and Fantasy Sports Radio. Every host on every SiriusXM Sports channel will be talking about why they love football. Become a part of the festivities tomorrow and join us for the National Football Day by tuning into all of your favorite sports shows or by listening anytime on the SiriusXM app. That SiriusXM app is fabulous. It also houses the MMA Junkie Radio Show in commercial free and in HD quality. Let's go back to the phone lines. Marcus from Atlanta, you're up next. What's up, Marcus?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, I got a quick question for you. Considering the situation down there in Houston with Derek Lewis, I saw a lot of the videos of him helping a lot of people getting rescued from the homes and everything. Do you guys think that Derek Lewis will be able to properly prepare for his fight for UFC 216?
Yes.
Well, did he tell John Morgan he had just built a gym in his house and his property is out of, they're not in any imminent danger. So I think he'll make it to the dance. I've never really known him to be like a 12-week guy. I think he just feels like, hey, I got these hammers. As long as I can make weight, put me out there. Plus, he's gone.
He just needs a punching bag, man.
He's now gone. He's done 25-minute fights or trained for 25-minute fights a couple times now. So I really feel like he'll be okay versus Fabricio Verdum.
Comes down to where his head's at.
True.
I was just really concerned about, I didn't know as far as, if his house and family, would that be like a distraction? And would that being said, would UFC maybe consider maybe replacing Derek Lewis with Francis Ngannou, maybe set that up for Verdum at UFC 216? Because
it's an interesting angle. It's an interesting angle, my friend.
I like that because I really don't see how Derek Lewis can really just stay focused and be properly prepared for a top fighter like Verdum.
All right.
With like 4 or 5 weeks' notice with this whole Houston tragedy going on around him.
All right, but let me put you on hold. Let me put you on hold. We got to do a sports update. We'll continue. All right, Marcus, hang tight with me. All right, folks, we'll be right back after this break.
I was about to bring up Gokhan Saki and get things really crazy going on.
What's up, everybody? We're in commercial break.
2 minutes.
But we can't get enough of MMA, so we're just going to keep talking.
Is he going to do 205? Gokhan Saki?
I don't know, 205 or heavyweight. Like either way, like that's what they need. Like, hell, that's why I was joking the other day. Like, go into the time machine, bring him back a year 2000 Igor Vovchanchin, just to throw 'em, make those divisions interesting. Get some sluggers in there.
Ice cold.
Yep, ice cold Igor Vovchanchyn.
I miss Igor.
In 1999, 3 fights in one night, fighting giant heavyweights.
What up, David Lee? He says, "What's up, GG? Goes DT."
Hey, what's up, David?
Which one are you in, Facebook or YouTube?
Facebook.
But yeah.
Oh my god, dude! Yesterday, you know my little game when I know somebody's showing somebody their phone, I send them a really bad pic.
Yeah.
It pops up and then I'll address it with
Backfired.
I'll say, "Here's that pic you wanted" or something. You know. Yesterday, Richard Hunter fucked me up, dude. He this popped up while I was talking to some dude. This looks like the guy from Sons of Anarchy naked.
Yeah, everything matches?
Huh? What was that guy's name? Clay, right?
Yeah, but I don't know his real name, though.
He was Hellboy. What's his real name? It's a famous name.
Ron Perlman.
Yeah, Ron
Perlman.
Perlman.
Bam! What did I win?
You want to be in the Triple G contest?
Yeah, just because of that.
All right, you get the draw.
Ron Perlman was in a really good movie where these college kids invite people over for dinner and they bury them in the backyard and kill them. Ron Perlman was the last guy.
Huh.
The last guy invited?
Yeah.
Or just like the last man's name?
You got to watch the movie. It's really good.
Okay.
You basically told them the entire movie.
Well, no, you don't know. You don't know if they. You don't know if they get him. You don't know if they get him. You don't know if they get him or not, or what happens.
Count up to 10. Stand by.
Find the name of that movie.
Look, I'll tell you 95% of it, but you're gonna have to work on that last 5.
Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head. Cutie the bomb, met her at a beauty salon with a baby Louis Vuitton under her underarm. She said, "I can tell you rock, I can tell by your charm. Far as girls, you got a flock. I can tell by your charm and your arm, but I'm looking for the one. Have you seen her? My psychic told me she have a like Serena, Trina, Gina for Lopez, 4 kids, and I gotta take all they bags to show biz. Okay, get your kids, but then they got their friends. I pulled up in the Benz, they all got a bin. We all went to den, and then I had to pay. If you f***ing with this girl, then you better be paid. You know why? Take too much to touch her. From what I heard, she got a baby by Buster. My best friend said she used to f*** with Usher. I don't care what none of y'all say, I still love her. Now
Here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Shout out to Craig Roberts saying, "What if McGregor opens or starts his own MMA promotion company?" I don't know that McGregor Promotions is sports promotions or whatever it's called is exclusive to boxing or not. But if he fights in MMA, he's fighting for the UFC. I'm also seeing a prediction by him. Ferguson by submission. I guess he's saying that maybe towards Kevin Lee. Careful, Kevin can grapple. That's for sure. Joseph Griffin saying, "Few more fights. Lee is going to the top. People need to stop the BS." I'm a big believer that Kevin Lee could possibly be a world champion, but we'll see, man. That's a really, really stacked division. A lot of killers there. So that's definitely not a slam dunk. Harry the Wonder on YouTube. Flossie Ash talking about Fernando Gonzalez and Marcus, who I believe called Marcus from Atlanta. Thank you very much. Were you going to show me something there, Dan Tom?
Oh, we had our buddy John Orlando just popping up all over the place.
Oh, is he?
All.
Where's he at now? He was on Colin Coward show.
The PFL there just posted something on him.
Oh, funny, yeah. All right.
I want to co-sign. I don't remember what the first gentleman was that you said, but I want to co-sign on what he said. I could see McGregor Promotions blowing up. And I said this earlier. His career is not that much different than what Floyd Mayweather's career did, where I think this is the part in Floyd's career where he bought out his own contract and started to promote himself. I could see something like that starting to happen. Where
much easier to do in boxing,
his
though.
negotiating chip, though, is this negotiation period where they had talked about where Dana White had said, maybe I would even consider giving him a piece or whatever.
Right.
I think that's the carrot that he's going to dangle on the other side is if you don't do that, then maybe I start doing something.
Maybe I start boxing Paulie Malignaggi. But even then, he had to give the UFC a piece of the Mayweather action for him to do the Mayweather fight. So that contract, I have to believe that if he were to just wait it out, because I'm sure, I don't know if it's in perpetuity or what, but I would imagine that even if he were to wait it out, I don't see how he could break himself free of that for a good 5 years. Now he's 34 under McGregor Promotions. Is he still relevant? Will people still give a shit? You know what I mean? So I think it behooves him to just keep doing business with the UFC. And I had heard that they weren't getting along too well, but in the lead up, all those embeddeds and Mac Lives, I mean, they were giving themselves extended bro hugs. And I think a lot of it had to do with all this pile of cash they were making. So it leads me to believe that they will figure it out. All right, let's keep going with the calls. Marcus from Atlanta, I really love you, man, and had you on. You've been calling the show for a long time. I felt like you needed more time on the show, so let's get you back in there. What's up, Marcus? You there?
Hey, man, I appreciate you for bringing me back.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about the whole Derek Lewis thing because I still think that pay-per-view needs a little bit of a pop.
Yep.
And I really think that the sale of Ngannou and Verdum, I think that really could be a real good boost, especially with Lewis. I really don't think he's going to be able to be 100% focused and prepared for Verdum with all that's going on in Houston. Plus, with more rain coming in, too.
Right. That's what I was telling Goes. That thing's not done yet, and we don't know how devastating it can get. But from what I heard, on U.S. soil, this is the biggest rainfall for any of the big cities. It literally has broken the record of the history of the United States, with more to come. And he's from the Louisiana region, so I don't know how much family he has there, and I heard they're going to get hit. So is he just going to get so caught up in this that it might not be Ngannou? Now, Goes and I took it a bit further. We were talking about, Ngannou still needs some more seasoning, but I feel like if they were ready to give him JDS, then I don't think he would turn down Verdum. He's calling out Stipe. Yeah, so that could be a play. Lewis could always, as long as his family's safe, could always move his camp to Vegas, I suppose, at least the last month, and get into this UFC PI. And I'm still holding out for, it sounded like Overeem would be down. He just didn't have enough time. Maybe Ngannou versus Overeem on this card, because now that they're solidifying that Lee and Ferguson is the main event, the tickets are going on sale and all that. I agree with you, Marcus. This fight card still needs some more pop.
Yeah, and one last quick question for you guys. Since Joe Silva left the matchmaking, and I'm just really trying to figure out, as far as with UFC 216 being set at this date months in advance, why didn't the matchmakers not have 3 solid fights at least booked months in advance for this pay-per-view card? Because looking at it right now on paper, it's not good at all.
Well,
if you ask me,
okay.
Besides Liam Ferguson and Lewis and Verdum,
I had heard they were trying to have Joanna signed to fight Rose, but that's headed to New York, I believe. I heard they were trying to get Max for this one, Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar, but Max is still sorting out his contract issue. So the effort was there, and there were rumors about 6 months ago that Stipe would defend against Kane, but you have Kane's health and Stipe, who's still hasn't sorted out his contract. So names were being floated around. Hell, at one point, I think Dana had said November's too late. GSP, you're out of the Bisping sweepstakes. We wanted him to fight sooner, so it could have been that maybe he wanted Bisping to fight the Romero-Whitaker winner, but again, Whitaker got hurt, and then this thing just got, they were left with less options, and they decided to direct that fight to New York. So I think they have made an effort, Marcus. Now we really have to move on, but it's great talking to you, right, bud?
I said this on Saturday, you guys. Don't underestimate how much time and effort was put into McGregor-Mayweather, all right? All that's done now. I would say maybe Thursday and Friday you're going to start to hear a lot of news, because I think they get back into the UFC head and they start hammering all these things out. Like, come on, man, Max Holloway, get that contract signed already.
Yeah.
Right? I think all that stuff's going to start happening now, and we're going to get hit with a flood of news.
You see what it says right here? Read that, what it says.
Marcus, Atlanta, 5.
I do scale of 1 to 5, right?
Uh-huh.
What am I doing now?
Ooh, you crossed him out. Whoa, he's a 4.
Yeah.
4?
He always ends with keep up the good work.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm thinking you might have hijacked the end of the call, because I was telling him, Marcus, thanks for the call, but I kept him on, waiting for that.
Give him a 4.5.
And, all right, I'll give him a 4.5. But yeah, Go's kind of.
I thought that's why you kept him for when we went to the break, because you wanted to hear that. That's why I thought you did it.
And keep up the good work, he always says. All right, let's go to who's been waiting the longest. Orlando in Connecticut. What's up, Orlando?
What's going on, guys? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, cool. So I'm calling to ask a question to try to get that glove, but I think that there's breadcrumbs already there for Conor. The reason why he wants to fight in the UFC is because he already has a percentage. So it'll benefit him long term to have another fight. And I think he will stay in boxing, but under Zuffa, because Dana White had the Zuffa boxing T-shirt, and I think that'll branch out to let your Nate Diaz, your Stipe's go in there, box, maybe use it as the promotion, and then have, co-promoter McGregor, once he gets out, so that way his face is still there and he still gets his boxing, because I'm sure the UFC will want another cut of the Paulie Malignaggi fight. So what do you guys think about that?
I heard Zuffa was born. Okay, thank you very much. We will add you to the pool there for the Canelo.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, to the selection pool.
So he moves to the selection phase. That's right. Yeah, it's like
now
the tough tryouts. Hey, you're a great striker. Let's see how you can grapple. Thank you very much, Orlando, for the call.
Here.
I heard Zuffa Boxing was born to spite Golden Boy, the long-term plan. As far as Conor, Zuffa and McGregor Promotions, possibly. I think the Malignaggi fight could be pretty big, not to the level of this, but there's something to be said for having heat between two people. But boy, my mind will start to explode if I just think of, could he fight Nate? Could he fight the Tony winner? Tony Lee winner? Could he fight Bisping? Could he fight Woodley? Could he do Malignaggi? Could he take time off? I don't know, man. I'm kind of drained myself. You guys want to chime in? Do you think?
I feel like the Paulie Malignaggi thing is going to happen. It may not happen right away, but I feel like eventually it's going to happen. Just too much shit went on for that to not happen.
Right.
I think it's going to happen too. And the interesting about the Zuffa boxing angle, as far as making that some type of middleman, maybe that makes things easier for contract, long term, opens some things up, or what have you. But what are they even doing with the old Zuffa offices? Maybe it's because we were at the Tough Gym yesterday and we're in that area. But I was just thinking that, like, what are they actually using the old Zuffa offices for now these days?
They own that property too.
Right.
So, good question. Did they sell and use that to buy this new plot of land because they own where they bought as well?
Right.
Or could that be used for other stuff? I don't know. What I heard was there was downsizing that was happening, if anything. So, good question. Yeah, I guess WME IMG owns that, right? Unless they had already sold that before, who knows?
I may have saw some Zuffa placards on certain buildings, walking by certain buildings still. So that's
yesterday.
Maybe
those are. Yeah, I've seen that as well by the Tough Gym. Certainly a lot smaller though than the former headquarters, which had underground and the building across the street. But I hear what you're saying. Let's try one more call here before we go to break. Jim from Long Beach. What's up, Jim?
Yeah, the next fight that Conor fights would be Nate Diaz 3 at 170. Because in that way, he's not going to risk his belt. I think that's the fight he should fight. And then after that, Khabib, if he can make it through Nate Diaz. And I don't see him fighting too much after that.
All right. Let's talk about that. If he fights Nate, I'm pretty sure a lot of people won't have a problem with it. Obviously for the title. I don't want to see it 170. But why should he fight Khabib next? If Lee and Ferguson are fighting and they're supposed to unify when the champion's healthy and they're getting cast aside, now how does Khabib leapfrog those two when the last time Khabib tried to fight, he had weight-cutting problems?
But Dana himself said that it doesn't assure those two guys that they're going to get the next title, which I thought was weird that he said. He left the door open.
He left the door open for Nate.
I only think that he left. You think that's why he left the door open? I thought he left it open for Khabib.
No, fuck no. I mean, he's been trying to give Khabib
the Nate thing
just
makes zero sense, George. The Nate thing on paper makes 0 sense.
Well, they're 1-1, so and it makes them a ton of money.
But a title shot? That's what I'm saying. It makes 0 sense. So I felt like he put that out in outer space, and he left the door open for Khabib.
No, there's no way, because he was trying to get Khabib versus either Lee or Ferguson, and injury, I need time, weight cutting issues. Khabib also didn't make it to that other dance, and as much as he loves Khabib, and so do we all.
What Jim is saying is
a lot of
crazy.
I think Jim's crazy.
I don't think he's crazy.
So you're saying that they would say we have an interim champion, but we're going to do Nate,
budget.
And then on top of that, we're still not going to do the interim champion once Nate and Conor figure it out.
I think
just to bring in Khabib.
I think Conor might be a little banged up after the Nate fight, and somehow, some way, that works out. I don't think he'll put it out on paper.
I've been hearing versus Khabib in Russia, but then I also hear it's tough to do something on that side of the world because of pay-per-view, the time difference, and that's probably a 2-hour time difference greater than the standard time in the UK, whatever it's called there. So I don't know, man. I'd love to see Khabib come back and take a fight. You know, Barbosa has been talked about or whoever, and get in there somehow.
Whatever our lives become that we're even entertaining these scenarios.
Jim, you started it, Jim.
Yeah, but that's all about money, you know.
So man. Money drives the world.
Well, he can't hold off too long because don't we come back on Ramadan again? It was in May of this past year. So how long could Conor be injured before we're caught up back in that again? Khabib kind of disqualifies himself a little bit from any fights during the 1 month that he fights or that he observes that religious holiday, and then coming out of that, you know, he has to start a camp, you know, after that to be ready to perform. So I don't know.
Here's something that solves everything we're talking about. From Jim's call to the thing about contracts and the booking thing we were talking about from the last call. We should have listened to Kevin Lee. And will they listen to Kevin Lee? Meaning 165 weight class, guys. Makes it easier for Khabib to come back.
Hell, Dan.
We haven't even thought about
it. Then they go, hey, you know what, Kevin, you want that 165? Here's that 165.
No.
Oh, what are we going to do with 155? Hey, Nate and Conor. And they start spreading it around. Now they have different, you know, things they can dangle in front of the fighters for contract time. You know, well, we can open this up, maybe give you some dibs there. And they start 175, 185, 195, and now is the time to do it. Maybe now is the time for business wise, and something that, you know, as hardcore as Gigi, you've been saying on this show for forever now.
Oh,
just
I'd love
fighter
it.
Wise, yeah,
I would love it. Yeah. All right. Now my mind's really gonna explode. So let's take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We'll come back. We'll try and hook up with the Menifee Maniac Fernando Gonzalez, followed by Cynthia Calvillo. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close.
Yeah, international underground thunderbound blast off the ground.
Yeah, you. Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
The final week of the NFL preseason is on SiriusXM. Make sure you keep your radio locked on SiriusXM NFL Radio for expert analysis on the latest position battles and transactions around the league. The only place to hear 24/7 coverage of the National Football League is SiriusXM NFL Radio, channel 88, and on your phone with the SiriusXM app. All right, let's get to our first guest of the day. His name is Fernando Gonzalez. He got a win at Bellator 182 this past Friday. He defeated Brennan Ward in the third round via submission. It was a guillotine choke. And he joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's going on, Fernando? How you doing?
Nothing much, man. Just getting here, getting a couple sessions in, or a couple rounds in with the guys, and helping my guys get ready for their fights. And yeah, enjoying it, man. Enjoying the win, and it's a good feeling right now.
Don't most gyms make you take a week off at least and chill? I mean, that you're quite a team player. I can appreciate that, but I would think you'd want to maybe rest up.
Normally I do, just depending on the fight, but I didn't take too much damage in this fight. For the most part, all the hits that landed were on my forearms, and I made them miss a lot in this fight, and I didn't take the damage that I normally have in other fights. Like I said, I was going to show a different version of myself, and one of them I didn't get hit as much, so I'm fresh and ready to go for another one. And like I said, I'm here helping the guys out. They help me, and I'm here for them.
Regardless of where he was hitting you, does that kid have a lot of power? It certainly seems like he throws everything with bad intentions.
Oh, he does, man. I mean, I didn't block everything. I blocked pretty much everything for the most part. That was solid, but he did get a couple in there that definitely kept me honest. Make sure my hands stayed up, and I didn't mess up on any of my techniques. Well, I say it, but I did a lot of work to get to that, to make him miss that much. It was a lot of work put in, a lot of movement, and so yeah, no, by any means it wasn't easy at all. And when he did land, I did feel it.
You are 7-1 with Bellator, and your only loss is to Michael Page. That's a division that's pretty stacked. Welterweight, very exciting. Tell me where you think you fit in and what you want next for you.
I think honestly, it's really how the judges saw it. But I feel like I'm undefeated. If you really look at that fight, I pretty much did the similar tactic of keeping my distance, making him fight me, and making him throw. And it paid off in the later rounds. He started to gas. The only thing was I wasn't. The 9-month layoff kind of hurt me a little bit. Where I felt had I had that. A little bit more season in between, I would have had more pressure on him to stop him in the third. But the tactics were similar. I actually outlanded him. It's just how they commentate it. It sounds like I was the one losing, but realistically, if you watch what's actually landing, not what's hitting my arms, I was winning that fight as well. So, I think right now I'm undefeated. I mean, they have that scratch on me right now, but I feel I'm the one that's closest to a title shot, and who can actually threaten for that belt right now.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard anything about a staggered tournament in 2018 involving the welterweights, by the way?
No, I haven't. But I'm open to anything. Whatever's going to get me close to that belt, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm down to get in and do a tournament, and that'd be cool.
Yeah. Maybe you can answer this. You had shown me something, and was that just a fan that doctored that up, or was that a tease from Bellator?
That was a tease from Bellator, and that's actually what I wanted to bring up to Fernando. Was two of the names that were on that make-believe tournament were Chidi Njokuani and Brennan Ward. Do you feel, did you see it, and did it bother you that your name wasn't on there, and now that you got that win, do you feel like your face should be up on there?
Definitely. I don't know how they do their thing. For me, like I said, I've always been the underdog, so I kind of play that role, and that's where they keep me at. And I think that's the only thing that kind of held me down as far as people getting to know me. Like But like I said, the more I keep winning, they don't have a choice. They're going to have to start promoting me and get it behind me as the guy that's a true contender. And I keep saying it. It's up to me to make them believe it, and I keep doing that with every victory. So, like I said, eventually I'm going to run through all of them, and they're not going to have a choice but to promote me as the number one contender and future champion.
George mentioned the only loss coming to MVP there at Bellator. Do you feel like there's unfinished business there? Do you feel like he may be, you may meet him again on your way up to the top?
I definitely know I'm going to fight him again if he comes back. I mean, if you notice, most of the guys that I fought, and after they fought me, they haven't come back. Very, very few guys have come back. I think my game it breaks them down mentally, where it makes them second guess whether they want to continue to do that or I feel, it's different looking at it from the outside, but when you're actually fighting me and you see that I'm outworking you, I'm outlanding you, even though they're giving you the fight on TV and the way the commentary goes, they actually are the ones taking the hits and knowing who they're fighting and that I'm a better fighter than them. So I think that's made them second guess themselves of coming back. And, MVP hasn't come back either. He's dropped out of 2 fights since my fight with him, and like I said, I honestly think anybody that faces him now, he's got that pressure on him where he has to come forward. He basically ran for me the entire fight. If we fight again, I'm definitely going to call him on it because he was saying something about his game plan or whatever was off by the third, and that's why he wasn't able to do anything. But realistically, I shut down his game with my offense of what I was doing, keeping proper distance and making him fight me. So the next time around when we actually do, start building up to the fight, I'm going to let him know. So you're going to come after me this time, right? You're not going to run like a chicken and, basically like you did the first fight. And I think he's just got that added pressure on him. And it's not going to be good for him for whoever he fights next, whether it be me or any of the top guys.
Fernando, I want to ask you about the submission that ended the fight. You've ended other fights by guillotine. Are you just known for being a guillotine wizard? Do you think you caught Brennan off guard with bad defense? What would you attribute that to? Because it was really, really smooth, and it was very, very clutch, too, in that third round.
Yeah, like I said, it really just depends on how you see the fight. If you watch what I'm landing, I was breaking him down, and interviews prior to that, I was letting everybody know how I was going to beat him. He's primarily a boxer, so if I just gunsling with him hand to hand, it makes him more fair. It's more of a 50-50 at that point. But I know I had more techniques than he did, and that was my kickboxing. I started using my kicks more, beat up his body. I went really high, so I kept him honest on making sure his hands stayed up. It was either take the head kick or take the body shot. And, obviously he didn't want to take the head kick, so I started ripping the body. I would keep him back honest by kicking high again. About 2 of them landed clean on his head, but his hand was there. But I know it buzzed him. The one that actually set up the takedown was, as he's kind of saying, I have him, Jimmy Smith's talking, he goes, as I have him behind right now, whatever, he might fall into the MVP trap thing. I keep kicking him right in the jaw, and it's something that I've been working on for my setups, So I went body, and on this time I went up high, right up the middle, and he was open for it, and I saw he got buzzed off of it, and right then I knew he was going to go for a takedown.
Gotcha.
I threw my left hand, so I knew what side he was going to go to, and I was able to sink in the choke. If you kind of see, I kind of slammed myself backwards on his head. That's how secure I had it and how I knew it was going to happen. I just knew it was coming, so as soon as I landed that cheap kick, I know he's going to try to get me down. And it's something that I drilled my ass off for this camp, and it came out.
You and Brennan have a chance to talk after the fight. Did he say anything to you other than congratulations or whatever he had to say to you?
We didn't talk much. I could see he was a little bummed out. Like I said, it's one thing to hear things on TV, and then it's a different thing when you're going through it. When I've been there before, so if I'm a big power puncher trying to land punches and I can't land anything solid, it starts to break you down mentally. And then the guy's ripping body shots and slowing me down, it starts to wear on your mind. And I think realistically, he was just really frustrated on the situation that he really didn't land anything solid. You know, because at least when you're in a fight like that, you want to say, at least I cracked him a really clean punch, you know? Even though I lost, but I got to crack him one. And, you know, I really didn't give him that chance. There was one or two that got in, but it wasn't anything that got me in trouble. And realistically, I just see off his face that it was a lot of frustration in him. And, you know, that's you know, I wasn't going to ask him or talk to him at that point because I could see that it probably just caused a fight. You know, he was upset, and you know, that happens when you lose.
My co-host Dan Tom has a question or two for you. Go ahead, Dan. What do you have for Fernando?
Hey, Fernando. First of all, great finish last Friday. Great guillotine choke. Loved how you got your hips in there, really crunched down on the choke. And these little details you're talking about, I really appreciate. You know, and you shouldn't be surprised. You've been fighting for quite some time now. You look back into your record even, you know, years ago, there's going to be relevant names for anybody that knows anything about the sport there. But I did notice, you know, speaking of the Michael Page loss, and we're talking about, you know, what the judges see and don't see, I noticed, you know, a lot of your decision losses were by split decision, you know, close fights. And obviously you've been getting better. Like you said, you're on this amazing streak, 7-1. But being on 7-1 in Bellator, you're on that path to maybe, you know, 5-round fights. And even not, you know, every fight's important, and you only have 3 rounds to convince the judges. So long-winded here, but I guess what I'm saying is, over your time, Fernando, have you been, you know, actively adjusting with your coaches in camp out in California, making sure, you know, you're doing these little things so where you know you're winning the round and you can fight from any position, but you got to let those judges know? Is there adjustments now that these fights are getting higher and higher stakes toward the top?
Not really. When I fight, I'm also fighting the time, you know, because the way they score takedowns, they almost score it higher than a strike, you know, and a strike really is closest to knocking you out than an actual takedown, you know, and I see that they judge it too much on that. Even when these guys are getting me down, I'm not working them. I'm the one landing the shot to the body, to the face, controlling the clinch on bottom. But it's almost like, oh, well, the guy's on top, he's winning. So I'm always fighting with the time because it's I don't know how they're going to judge the fight. So what I've been really dialing in is to play my game, but to break my opponent down within those 15 minutes to make sure I get the finish. I obviously, like I said, I know I won the MVP fight. I outlanded him. Turn down the volume and just watch what landed. The strikes that actually landed, and I won that fight. You know, so like I said, a lot of times I'm fighting the time to make sure that these judges, you know, don't have that say, because I don't know how they're viewing it. Like the MVP fight, one judge saw it my way all 3 rounds because he saw the fight. You know what I mean? Where these guys are seeing points, he actually saw what landed, and I won in his eyes. So, you know, it really just depends on what judge I'm going to catch. But like I said, I try to gear myself to win the fight within the 15 minutes. So, and that's what I'm sharpening. That's what I'm getting down right now with my team, and you know, closing down that time to make sure I get the finishes, break them down enough to get the finishes.
Fantastic, Fernando. I guess just one more question from me is that obviously we're talking a lot about Michael Page here. Clearly that's a name on your mind. I'm guessing in a perfect world you could have your rematch from him, beat him, and then move on and challenge for the welterweight title. But if, you know, the perfect world doesn't happen as it tends to in MMA, what's a name in the division right now that you think you can just make, you know, not being disrespectful, like I can easily beat that guy, but what's a matchup that makes Fernando Gonzalez stand out to not just, you know, the fans, Bellator's brass, everybody that says, okay, give this guy a contender shot?
You know, that right now I think that's Korchkov. You know, he's our last champion. We were already scheduled to fight, and I think it's a fight that fans want to see. He's exciting. I'm exciting. You know, we make it a fight. You know, and that's one thing I've respected about him. He goes out there to fight the guy. You know, he's not on points. He's trying to finish you, and the more MMA is geared that way, you get to see the most out of the fighter. And you know, the more you start focusing on points, then you're going to water down the sport and water down what the athlete can do. So yeah, I think realistically the better show will be me and Korchkov because we both let it go. And, you know, he's the last champion, so that'll put me closer to a title shot. And, you know, I think that's kind of how they built up this card, you know. Whoever was going to win between us two would, his fight and then our fight. Obviously Korshkov won, I won, so I think that would be for number one contender. Lima's got McDonald next, and I fight Korshkov. I think I get my shot next.
Fernando, I know you already sat down with one of our reporters, Matt Erickson. You already addressed the weight, so I'm not really going to go there or anything like that. But what I want to ask you is, what about the Kelvin Gastelum route and just moving up to 85? I've never been too terribly impressed with Rafael Carvalho myself, and I feel like there's a lot of welterweights, including Rory McDonald, who could possibly maybe give him a run. Now, again, I haven't seen much of him. I'm basing it a lot on the Manhoff fights, but have you ever thought of just saying chale and moving up to 85 and not having to have any of these concerns with cutting weight and just being maybe even closer to 100% Fernando Gonzalez rather than a depleted maybe 85, 90% Fernando Gonzalez on fight night?
A lot of it has to do with the timing. I have missed a couple fights, and I had to make some corrections from this fight now that I kind of had to deal with after this fight because of certain issues that popped up. Not to make any excuses, I still got a plan for these things that go wrong, and I need to be able to still, get in there and hustle. But, basically what happened was there was miscommunication. The entire time we thought the fight was at 5, weigh-ins were at 5 p.m. That's the text that we had received. And then apparently the week of the fight, it was scheduled back at 11. We just never got the info or the memo. We didn't get the memo until we got up there. So basically, fly up, miss a whole day of training on Tuesday, and so come Wednesday to Thursday, we get our fighter packing and we find out that the weigh-ins are moved up to 11. So that made me have to drastically make some adjustments as far as my meal intake and the amount of water I was going to drink from there on. I couldn't really drink too much more after that because I didn't have that much time to cut the weight. So it's just little things that happened that it's shitty and it puts me in a bad position because it makes me look bad. But it's something that I got to plan for the next one and make sure in case any of these mistakes happen again, I'm a lot closer to the weight than normal. I didn't want to be too underweight because the weight class was 178. That's the catch weight we made, and he's already a bigger guy than me, so I didn't want him to be too much bigger than me. That's the only reason that I tried to time it like normal. But those hours that were taken from me were a big part, and it hurt me. But like I said, I took it on the chin, and now we got to go out there and push forward and make the corrections now.
My man, thank you very much for doing the interview. We appreciate it. Congrats on your win versus Brennan Ward. If there's a tournament or whatever they do in 2018, hopefully they think of putting you in there because that's an impressive run you've had with Bellator. Thanks again.
No, thank you guys, and I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm making the corrections to make sure these guys know I'm serious about that title shot. So I'll be ready to go for whoever's next.
Thanks, Fernando. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Folks, you can follow him on Twitter at Menifee Maniac, MENIFEE You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. When we come back, we'll be talking to one of the bright stars in the UFC's strawweight division, Cynthia Calvillo. Stay close.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Tomorrow, join SiriusXM Sports for National Football Day. We're celebrating the return of America's favorite sport, from NFL Radio, Mad Dog Sports Radio, to College Sports Nation and Fantasy Sports Radio. Every host on every SiriusXM Sports channel will be talking to you about why they love football. Become a part of the festivities tomorrow and join us for National Football Day by tuning into all of your favorite sports shows or by listening anytime with the SiriusXM app. Also joining us tomorrow will be James Laurinaitis, who will be talking football with us. That'll be our guest on the MMA Junkie Radio show on SiriusXM Rush 93. He is a former player with the Los Angeles Rams and the New Orleans Saints. He's from the NFL channel. He played linebacker. He'll join us tomorrow, and we'll talk some football, man. And Sammy the Squid, talked to him earlier as well, goes. He says he's ready to go with
Gonna preview
the Eliminator, which we'll plug a little bit more because that was a lot of fun last year. And, going head-to-head versus the Squid every week for the Junkie Radio listeners. Danny, are we ready to go with our next guest? I think I heard you say yes or
no. Cynthia's actually parking our car.
I got you.
She said
okay.
As soon as she's parked, I'll check on her in a minute.
Cool. All right. Want to shout out Neems for hooking up the Fernando Gonzalez interview. One of the top managers out there in the sport of mixed martial arts. He also manages Gegard Mousasi. Might as well thank myself ahead of time for booking the Cynthia Calvillo interview.
Fantastic.
I made that happen, yeah. She'll join us here in just a couple seconds. Probably maybe, I think, a couple minutes of OT if things get cooking. And how can they not? Because this chick's not playing around, Cynthia Calvillo. She is going out there and she's putting on a show. She's got the attention of Dana White. He's basically said, I really believe in her as being one of our next stars. And just in 2017 alone, she's 4-0. 3 of those fights were in the UFC. And the names, guys: Amanda Cooper, Pearl Gonzalez, Joanne Calderwood. Like, there's no cupcakes on that schedule. Montana Stewart's, who she defeated at Legacy Fighting Alliance 1. It was their first show on January 13th when they became, LFA. But what a year in 2017 for her. And we're trying to figure out what might be next. I've heard some rumors, and we'll see if maybe she can confirm or give that uncomfortable laugh that fighters sometimes give when you know you got them and they just can't give you the answer, but they're basically saying, yeah, that's the direction we're headed in. Cynthia also defeated Aspen Ladd as an amateur, and the reason I say that's a big win is because I'm hearing Aspen Ladd is destined for maybe being a pretty great fighter at 135. No, we didn't call that one. We called her fight versus Brenda Larkin in Tough Enough, which was basically her only loss in mixed martial arts. But Aspen Ladd's been doing well as a 35er.
Yeah.
And so that's a nice credible win for her. Both young ladies up from the Northern California area. Aspen Ladd's with MMA Gold. Cynthia Calvillo with Team Alpha Male. Cynthia can be followed on Twitter at Cyn_Calvillo, and that's CYN, not SAN, not SIN. It's CYN _CALVILLO. All right, here we go with Cynthia Calvillo joining us on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Hi, Cynthia. How you doing?
Hi there. I'm doing pretty good. Just got done with training, driving to go get some food.
Yeah, and we heard you parked your car. Is it right outside the restaurant where you're going to fill up your belly?
Pretty much. No, I stopped by the co-op.
The co-op? Is that the name of the restaurant?
It's a grocery store.
Oh, so you got the patience to buy the food and then still go home and make it? I thought for sure you were rushing in and sitting down and putting an order in once you're done with us.
No, they have like smoothies and stuff, so they have different stuff in here. So I'm probably gonna grab like a smoothie and some groceries to hold me off for now because I got another training session coming up.
All right. Oh, another one. Wow. How many do you do per day?
Depends. Probably like at least 2.
Gotcha. Cynthia, you had an amazing 2017. You started things off with LFA, got a win there, and weeks later you were already at UFC 209, UFC 210. So you had back-to-back pay-per-views, and then of course you head on overseas to Scotland and beat up Joanne Calderwood in her home. I mean, when we start to fill in our check boxes for Fight of the Year, I mean, you're going to be up there. This has been an incredible year for you.
Yeah, it's been an amazing ride. I mean, I never thought that I was, going to get out there this rapidly. I mean, I was ready for it. It's, what I wanted, but I was just taking fight for fight, and it's just been an amazing ride, how many opportunities I've been getting. And
really, if we go back to 2016, was your pro debut on August 27th. So just a little over a year ago, you were debuting at Global Knockout 7, followed by Global Knockout 8. Yeah. So that's a very busy year because in 1 year you fought 6 times.
Yeah. I got injured right after, was finishing up with my amateur career. So it's just like I've been trying to make my pro debut for like the last 3 years. It just happened that I got injured and an injury that just kept happening over and over. So I couldn't compete for about two and a half years. And through that time, I still kept working, and I knew that if I continued to put in the work, when the time was, when the time came where I was 100%, I was going to be ready to go. And so I just waited fight for fight. So I had my global knockout, my pro debut, and I was like, all right, well, I'm good to go. What's next? Right. So it was just fight for fight, and I've just been getting the opportunities. I've just been really blessed for having the right opportunities and being ready and being prepared.
Mm-hmm. And so now I want to ask you, you are going to fight in 2017 again, right? We're kind of hearing rumors. We're entrenched out here in Vegas, so we hear stuff. But first, tell us that. Will you be fighting in 2017?
100%. I want to fight again before the end of the year for sure.
Okay. Now tell us who you're fighting.
For sure. I'm already going nuts. I already want to fight. I already want to fight next week if I could, but I'm not allowed to, so we got to wait.
You're not allowed to fight next week, or you're not allowed to tell us who you're fighting?
Well, yeah, I'm not allowed to tell you who I'm fighting yet because we haven't signed any contracts. So, but I have my eye on a few people. So hopefully it'll happen hopefully in December is what I'm shooting for.
Okay. Will you be? Help us out a little here. First of all, you're going to fight in the United States or outside the United States?
That I'm not sure yet. There's a couple of cards there in December, so I really don't know. We haven't signed anything, but I just want to fight in December. I'm just waiting to make sure that, I have enough time between my fights because I've just been nonstop fighting, so I just want to let my body just kind of fully heal up and then start hitting the fight camp hard again. So, it's nothing's come about. I just told Sean Shelby that I do want to fight in December, and hopefully somebody ranks above me so I can keep climbing those ranks.
Right. I'm going to tell you who I think you're going to fight, and then we'll see how good you can hold it in. She's already kind of giggling.
I don't think she has a good poker face.
I feel like I'm an interrogator, and she's a spy, and so I'm going to read her here. I can't see her eyes, but I'll be able to tell by her voice. Unless she stands in complete silence, then I have nothing. Mute you. I have nothing to go by. But if she, as long as she doesn't mute me and just be herself, we'll see. I think she's going to fight another young lady who's Hispanic Latino, and I'm hearing NorCal SoCal, and I'm hearing Carla Esparza.
It's a good one.
Ooh, that is a good. That is really good.
Pretty good guess.
It's a pretty good guess, but no. I do not have a set opponent. I promise, I don't have that. But it is something in mind. They have asked me before. It is somebody who I do want. I want to fight Carla Esparza. I want to fight Cardi Hadi. But nothing's been set, and so I don't have a contract yet. Nothing's been signed. But I want to find December, and I'm definitely open. Like I said, I'm ranked number 8 now. So I get number 7 or number 6, which is either Claudia Javi or Carlos Garza. Yeah, I'm willing to fight either of them. But then again, if anybody else fight falls out and they need to call somebody to step in, I'm of course going to be the person they're going to call, and I'm probably going to take the fight. So, you never know. You never know who I'm going to fight next.
let's say Justin Buchholz put Karate Hottie's face, like on an 8x11, he prints it out and puts her on one of those big punching bags, and then on the other punching bag, it's Carla Esparza's. Which one of those bags are you going to hit harder?
I'd hit him at the same time like a double fist. I'm just kidding. Come on, you can't make me choose. That's way too much fun. There's a lot of food out there.
I guess what I was trying to get at was which one is there more heat with? Usually sometimes there's the respectful call out, like, I'd like to match my skills against this young lady. And then there's the call out, where you have some swag and you go, I'm going to fuck her up. So I want to see if either one of those two.
Personally, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I can beat either of them for sure. I mean, if you don't believe yourself 100%, then I don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're fighting. Sorry, excuse my language, but I personally believe that I can beat, and I really believe in myself 100%. I can beat anybody, and I'm going to keep trying. Any times I ever fall, I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to keep coming back. So to me, it's not whether it's bad or I respectfully would accept a fight with any of them, not because I believe that they're like shitty or anything, but because they're the best, and I want to be the best. I want to fight the best. I think Carla kind of got a little bothered by it. Karate might have got a little bit bothered by it, but I don't care. That's better for me if they want to fight me back, because some people just they ignore other people. So the more people that want to fight me, the better for me.
I feel like
Cynthia's a straight up G, man. I love her.
Like Buchholz might print out our faces.
I know.
Those are probably the ones she'll hit harder.
I know, yeah. Cynthia Calvillo joining us here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. So now, Cynthia, since we started just a couple minutes late, can we keep you just a couple minutes late? You don't have anywhere to be? Like another 5 minutes?
Yeah, no, I'm good right now. I mean, the only thing, I get a little bit more spicy the more I am without food, but we're good.
I know, things are starting to heat up. An F-bomb was launched a second ago, and that's what's making this young lady so popular and one of the bright prospects. Not even a prospect. Yeah, she's beating Joanne Calderwood, Pearl Gonzalez, and Amanda Cooper. She's 4-0 in 2017, 3-0 in the UFC, and Dana White's taking a look, at Cynthia Calvillo, like, wait a minute, this isn't just a strawweight, this is a budding superstar. And we're getting some of that here as we're talking to her, picking some names. But I got a couple co-hosts that want to ask you a couple questions. So let me just let the SiriusXM audience know that you'll have more combat sports and entertainment content coming up. You can hear our replays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern the following day, 7 a.m. Eastern the following day, if you missed any of it. And of course, we're all over the SiriusXM app. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/official MMA Junkie, and on YouTube, youtube.com/MMA Junkie video. Again, this is Cynthia Calvillo. I'm going to do a soft exit here. In 10 seconds, we will resume the interview before some overtime.
Las Vegas turning day into nighttime, turning night into daytime. If you see it once, you'll never be the same again. I'm gonna keep on the run. I'm gonna have me some fun. It cost me my very last.
All right, little OT here goes. What do you have for Cynthia Calvillo?
Cynthia, we threw out the names, the Karate Hottie and Carla Esparza, but what about the champ herself? How often do you train for her, size her up? And do you feel like when it's time for your title matchup that she'll still be champ?
I mean, I'm hoping that she is. I really, she's a very dominant champion, and like, everybody's beatable at some point, and everybody has their kryptonite, stylistically, people in the division at this time being, there's nobody that can, could beat her, and I really truly believe that I can do it, that I'm that person, when the time comes. I definitely, I have my eye on everybody in the division. Like I said, I want to be the best in the world. I want to fight everybody, and even if, I'm going to do everything that I can. I'm going to keep coming. I'm not going to stop till I get what I want. And whether she's there or not, by the time I get my shot, I'm going to fight. I'm going to give it everything. But I'm hoping she's still around by the time I get my shot.
We're very impressed with everything you've been able to do in the cage, but I really like your personality outside the cage. I think you really shine. I know you're very unique. You have your own personality, your own swag, but is there a female or a male fighter that going in, you kind of wanted to replicate what they did, somebody you looked up to?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I love fighting. I love everything about it. I mean, maybe it's just something because of the way that I grew up. In the East Side San Jose, probably wasn't one of the best neighborhoods growing up, and there's just a little bit of a like swagger chip that comes from it. And I feel like sometimes I didn't even have to talk crap, but people would get that from me, and like they call me like the Chick Diaz. But it's all because Stockton and San Jose are very close to each other. We all kind of grew around thinking kind of the same mentality. I mean, you don't back down, no matter what, and you got to walk with your head high and stuff. That's not necessarily something that I probably did my entire life, but it's something that like fighting definitely gave me that confidence. But I just feel like you gotta go in there and really believe yourself, and because if you don't, and if you have that confidence, then you shouldn't be fighting.
Hey, people on the streets called you Chick Diaz for real?
Some people would say that shit, or they'll like say that that remind them of like the Diaz brothers.
I got you. All right. I was once in Milpitas, and I was at a Dave & Buster's, and I was fearing for my life, man. There was a lot of it was a tough crowd, yeah. So I was just playing my games or whatever. Yeah, or maybe I'm just a little chicken over here, or who knows what. But it seemed like a tough crowd, and as the night got further into like midnight and 1, I felt like people were mean mugging. I was like, Jesus Christ, people, calm down. These are just games where I'm just having a good time here. But there's some NorCal does not play a lot at all. I respect Sacramento, San Jose, Frisco. You just don't want to be brawling over there. Or Dodger Stadium, of course. People get down there too, stabbings and shit. But all right, let me turn it over to Dan Tom.
I think it's getting more chilled out. I bet you by next year, once all the weed and stuff gets all legalized, it's gonna be a lot more chilled out for everybody. So
that's true. She makes a good point. Yeah. All right, Dan, what do you have for Cynthia Calvillo?
Man,
and take it easy, because we're keeping her away from food, so she's getting spicier and spicier.
Oh yeah, the Chick Diaz state of mind. And as somebody that appreciates the spiciness, I'm gonna keep it short, Cynthia. But because I don't train as hard as a fighter, but I feel like I'm gonna die if I don't have food when I leave Extreme Couture. I need to go get food immediately. So I just got one question, Cynthia. The guys already mentioned names, rankings. We kind of got your idea on that, and I believe you. You're a fighter that I truly believe that you say 1 through 10, line them up. They're all gonna be under my belt anyways. But maybe it's because we're maybe older guys who've been following the sport for a while. We look at a young fighter like you, and we're like, wow, that fighter's got the whole world in front of him. And especially when that fighter is getting better every fight. So my question for you is, maybe this is a two-parter. You can give me your feelings, or maybe your coaching staff has a different type of feelings they might try to instill in you. But what is Cynthia Calvillo's attitude? Is the kingdom going to come anyways, and you're just worried about getting better from fight to fight, or is there a short-term, long-term, or even both of a plan for Cynthia Calvillo?
Man, I want to be the best in the world. Like, seriously, I want to build my legacy. I want to be here for a long time. I feel like I'm maybe young, to people that need me as far as my professional career, but I've been doing this for 6-7 years, and sky's the limit for me. I really see, there's no limit to where this can take me, and I just want to go to the top. They said I'm on the Cody plan, but I'm on the Cynthia Calvillo plan. He went from unranked fighter to champion, in a year. So I want to keep doing stuff like that, making history and building my legacy.
Right on. Cynthia, man, this has been fun to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better. We really appreciate you doing the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Go ahead and go get that food. Smash whatever plate you got coming up. I know you got another practice, but seriously, thank you so much. You have definitely lived up to the hype. We can't wait for your next fight, whatever it is.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun being on.
Awesome. All right. Take care, Cynthia. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's Cynthia Calvillo. Follow her on Twitter at CYN_CALVILLO. Damn, she's just got it. She's got that factor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Chick Diaz is hilarious.
Chick Diaz is funny. She's got a really good giggle, to go along with the questions. Like she's playful but nasty. Like I'm telling you, man. She not that I was a doubter, but I think people wanted to anoint right after the Amanda Cooper fight, and I was like, let's just slow down a little bit.
Well, because I'm
seeing her get better. I'm seeing her get better. Perhaps, yeah, that might have been it. But I really am seeing her get better, and the Calderwood win was a legitimate stamp win. Pro Gonzalez and Amanda Cooper are really tough females, but I felt like Calderwood was just that stamp win that now puts her in the position of a Esparza name or a Karate Hottie name or whatever. So she is managing her career fine. That 2.5-year spell from amateur to pro probably hurt a little because now she's 30. And a lot of the women that have had success in the UFC have been like mid-20 young ladies. So she may have to step on the gas a little bit. Who knows? You know, I don't know. With women, you always have to consider when they want to start a family and things like that.
Right.
So I've always felt like that's definitely like the gender where the sport will really, really get younger. You know, at the same time, Kat Zingano is a legitimate fighter. She's a mom already,
Right.
so it could be that you can become a mom and still come back and continue being a badass. I don't know. That's still so young.
A 40-year-old Marion Renault fighting this weekend.
Yeah. Is she 40?
Yeah, 40-year-old
wow,
with the kid.
That's the teacher. And
wow. She's fighting another PE teacher, ironically. They replaced her.
That's right, yeah. All right, so thanks to Danny, Dan, and Goes for staying some OT. Somehow I'm putting us in this boat, so I apologize, guys. But we made it happen. Thank you to all who listened and called in, and we will decide on filling in a few more spots there for this Triple G and Canelo signed glove, courtesy of HBO. And I know a lot of people want to get in on that, so the way to do it is to reach out to us one way or another through calling in, or of course, you know, maybe a clever social media post. We'll take a peek at that as well. All right, so thanks to Cynthia Calvillo, and thank you to Fernando Gonzalez for joining us. Tomorrow we will have James Laurinaitis, former NFL linebacker, played with the Rams and the New Orleans Saints. Tomorrow is a big day for football on SiriusXM, college, pro. We love it all. So we'll talk to James Laurinaitis. Probably have another guest or two. I just don't know who, so no need to announce it or jinx it just yet. We're out of here, folks. Go out there and be champions.